All right, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to another update on this Thursday. Not quite Friday yet. Friday coming around the corner right tomorrow, actually, about 12:37 p.m. California time, January 11, 2024. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D Globe shows a 1.4 into the area of Alaska. This Earthquake 3D Globe looks a lot more active than what it did last night in the update. We did see some larger scale movement out here across areas of the Middle East around eastern Afghanistan. A fairly large 6.4 earthquake coming into the area. This was obviously a pretty strong earthquake, but if you notice the depth of the earthquake there, about 206 kilometers deep, that limited the damage potential there at the surface. Of course, deeper earthquakes tend to create most of the keep the damage limited at the surface regions, which is good. They did see a little bit of activity prior to that in the deeper regions as well. Last night, a couple fours coming into this area, but this region, no doubt, sees a lot of earthquake activity historically. Check this out here. I'll show you guys the historical model. Deeper quakes are going to be in the gray to darker circles here. And the magnitude's going to be over here in these somewhat larger circles. A lot of smaller quakes out here, but we do get those larger ones on occasion within this area here. So 6.4 in the Afghanistan area, kicking things off earlier this morning, just about 1 o'clock in the morning, my time. So what's gone on since then? Well, still seeing some earthquake activity out here. With the latest one in the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, 35 kilometers deep. This area is, I believe, firmly primed here for a very large earthquake. It's been quite a while since we've seen any significant earthquake activity out here. It is in a zone that sees quite a bit of accumulated slip rate in a short amount of time, so therefore I'm a little bit worried that the potential for a large mega quake exists there. Percentages are pretty high that we'll see that go pretty soon. Let's see what else we've had overnight. This is just a 2.5 map and above for the states. Looking for some larger activity. A little bit of movement in the Argentina area. This one coming in just earlier this morning, like just over an hour ago here, into the deeper regions of the Peru-Chile Trench. 259 kilometers deep for that earthquake. We have seen a handful of earthquakes there in that region in the last 24 hours. Looks like it's starting to migrate down south here across the Chile area. Continue to watch this, so deeper activity does strain the surface areas in those subduction zones. Down here across the Kermadec Trench in New Zealand, goodness, what's going on down there? It looks quite active, at least on the Earthquake 3D Globe. Not a whole lot on the USGS map here, but it does look like we're seeing some activity stirring up with some fives and even some movement down across the New Zealand area. So let's go check out and see what's going on here from the GeoNet servers. There's a couple different sites I like to use, GeoNet, or Timothy here has a nice site that he runs called nzquakes.com. Pretty simple layout here, shows you the latest earthquake, the strongest earthquake here today. Looks like that 5.1 being up along the Kermadec Trench. See what the GeoNet servers are reporting here. 6 hours ago, three-pointer. There's another three-pointer here off the North Island coast. So we're getting a little swarm of activity out here. 20 kilometers deep for that earthquake activity. A little bit further down along the plate boundary here, 2.4. Definitely looks like things are starting to pick back up here slightly. 3.6 2 days ago, but not really worried about 2 days ago. See what we got on the earthquake drums here. Some of that activity there across North Island should show up. Guessing that's going to be these threes right here. Doesn't look all that powerful on the graphs here. A little bit of activity South Island area, but goodness. Let's see. Let me go back here. Yeah, these guys are saying a three-pointer. But limited, I guess, in terms of the felt reports out here. We got only 2 people reporting that three-pointer, so obviously not a big quake, but it does look like things may be picking up down here slightly. Deeper regions there into the Kermadec Trench, along with subsequent shallow earthquake activity. I'll definitely keep an eye on that today. There's our oddball earthquake yesterday. Had a 5.2 out in the middle. Well, not out in the middle of the Pacific, but a ways away from the plate boundaries here. And that activity is it's a strange one because we don't really see a whole lot of earthquake activity out here. I checked out the historical data, and there's only been a handful of earthquakes specifically around this area of interest since 1900. So when I see something pop off like that, it makes me scratch my head a little bit, wondering what's going on here with this activity. So we'll continue to watch that. Definitely does look like things have picked up here across the area of the Pacific Plate westward and adjacent plates here. Kuril Kamchatka, of course, got that earthquake right now coming in. Continue to watch that area. Out here in the middle of it all, we got, the big island of Hawaii. Not a whole lot of activity out here. Did see a 3.2, 28 kilometers deep underneath this area. That could mean that things are, that's a ways down there. It could be stress related here with the over the hot spot, or it could be maybe something else brewing underneath the region. Let's see what we got for the latest informational statement from the HVO. That's the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory. Daily update is put out today. Kilauea Volcano is currently not erupting, and they do mention about the earthquake activity here has been low. Really no new wording here across their charts. Basically we're just watching this to see if we get any elevated earthquake activity here across the region that would indicate, some surface rupture happening soon with the Kilauea volcano. As of right now, I'm not seeing it, and it's mentioned there in their update that they're not seeing it either. As far as the tilt meter here goes across the summit region, well, we're elevated and we are surpassing the previous inflation event that occurred back around the 6th of January. And if we go back the last couple months, or even the last few years, this activity is at its highest level seen since 2018. So things are building, right? These charts just don't go up for no reason. So obviously we're getting a lot of pressurization underneath this area, and only a matter of time before we see things potentially turn into the eruptive stage. So again, earthquake activity will be very prominent before any fissure activity opens up. Take a live look here at the area of the Kilauea volcano. Just get a quick peek here. Looks like it's sunny. Some clouds out there in the distance. This is just a portion of the lava lake area at the summit region of Kilauea volcano. Still seeing some volcanic gases. Doesn't look as active today, right? That's because there's it looks like there's less condensation going on here from the heated material below into the surface above. When it's cold and cloudy or foggy, the steam vents out here really make it look dramatic in terms of the activity we're seeing here, but minimal, very minimal looking today in terms of volcanic gases. But we'll continue to watch that, folks, see if anything plays out here soon. Up into the Pacific Northwest, not too much activity stirring up there today. We do have some activity in Yellowstone, it looks like, from yesterday and today. So let's double check, see what's going on here. Looks like a little handful of smaller earthquakes over here. No major swarming, though. Those earthquakes look like they are being reported there across the region of from the USGS. For the West Coast, California area, 2.5 map and above, only shows one earthquake here from yesterday. Aside from that, most of the activity here, very small earthquake activity. In fact, very limited. There's not a whole lot of earthquake activity showing up here on the map today in California. Texas area and Oklahoma still getting hit with some oil field activity, earthquake activity in the oil fields, I should say. and a pair of earthquakes down in the Louisiana area. Goodness, 2.8 and a 2.3 earlier this morning. New Madrid seismic zone looks kind of quiet for now. Iceland has been seeing some earthquake activity out there. In fact, they've upgraded one of the volcanoes in the area. Not for sure how to pronounce that one. I'll get back to you. I'm sure a lot of folks do, but I don't want to pronounce that wrong and get slaughtered here with the incorrect name for that. But it is added up on the list now. This area did see a 4.4 earthquake last night when we were doing our nightly update. Well, it looks like they upgraded it to a 4.5. It is off the plate boundary of the rift zone, but this area is highly volcanic across the area. And it looks like they're having a little bit of swarming going on there. The last eruption was back in 2011. But they have been, having periodically increasing earthquake activity. And if we look at the last 12 hours here, we're still seeing some movement. 3.1 coming in. Let me bring this back the last 24 hours so we can see that other earthquake. This is 24 hours, 102 earthquakes. It's not a big deal. Grindavik area, real quick, is seeing some further earthquake activity out here today. We'll check that out in a second. But this bigger activity is occurring out here across the these rift zones. These guys are reporting a 4.2, but there is also a 3.1 in here that occurred fairly recent. So two different swarming areas over here, it looks like. But they did raise this volcano here, the one that's seen the 4-pointer, to a yellow. It was last turned back to green on the 5th, it looks like. Prior to that, it was yellow again. So as soon as they lowered it, looks like it came back up. But it's been having an off and on period of somewhat elevated earthquake activity there in that region. We'll definitely continue to watch that. Iceland has been definitely been kicking up a little bit in terms of the activity, volcanic activity. Now, the latest information here from, let's go back over to the Icelandic Met office here, just a direct link. There's really no new update here in terms of the Grindavik area. But goodness, the earthquake activity looks like it's stirring up out there. Let me go back to the last 12 hours. And it's mainly in the region of the previous fissure activity out here back in December. December 18th or so, where we've seen a couple fissures open up out here and create some spectacular views for a short period. But today, it looks like we're seeing just a little bit of earthquake activity out there across that region. No mention of anything happening, though. This site called Live from Iceland is a really cool site to check out for webcams out here. Doesn't look like there's much out here. It almost looks like it's a little on the cloudy side, maybe foggy side out there across that area. But as far as eruptive activity, nothing taking place out there now. For now, the GPS stations out here across the Svartsengi area, I'm just more concerned with the vertical displacement, which is right here. Still shows that we're going up. There's that gradual rise here. So we're at a key level here that we need to keep an eye on. And I guess wait for it to happen. Again, earthquake activity should really ramp up. Like last time, we had about 90 minutes or so before the magma broke through to the surface. We did see quite a bit of earthquake activity, hundreds of earthquakes, in fact, leading up to the fissure activity there that opened up in the middle of December last year. So we should see the same thing again. Uncertain, though, on if we're going to see any other areas out here potentially be impacted by newer fissure activity. It's always a possibility, but the wording from the professionals is that it's going to stay, or the highest likelihood is going to be around this region here, north of Hagefell, around the Slingerfell area. we'll continue to watch it, see how it plays out. Getting interesting out here in 2024, that's for sure. Let's see what else we got here as far as earthquake activity goes. We got another 3.5 South America region. Definitely keep an eye on that. Deeper activity stressing the region there. The rest of the Atlantic, aside from the Iceland activity here, looks limited. Not a whole lot going on. And Mediterranean regions, quite a few 2s and 3s, but that's fairly typical for that area. Is that another 4-pointer up here? Hold on a second here. Maybe that's the differences between the EMSC and the USGS model, showing the potential duplicate quakes there on the globe. But either way, yes, they did have 4.5. We'll keep an eye on that fairly closely because it's on the list here of potential large quakes here soon. Space weather. Let's jump over that real quick. Look at that. Getting really spiky. Really spiky. You can kind of see the spikiness compared to the flatness, so to speak here. That's an increase. That's a sign that, well, solar weather is increasing here and getting more complex amongst a couple sunspots. Let's see what we got out here. There's that activity out on the northwestern limb of the sun. That sunspot had been facing us for quite a while. Wants to act up as soon as it gets out of view. It's 35, 38, but now the most recent image is going to show it well off the western limb. So uncertain on what we got here in terms of sunspots facing the Earth as far as complexity goes. I'm wondering if all that sizzling, so to speak, is coming off of that sunspot. We are getting a couple different regions here. Newer active regions that are showing some type of growth within some of these cores. I'm not really impressed with it yet, but we'll continue to watch a few of these, maybe even this area down here, for some further flaring. I don't think there's a large flare threat right now, just looking at those, but could see some C and M flare activity, which currently sitting at about 99% chance for C flare, M flare at 45, X flare around 5% chance or so. And again, we're currently flaring at around a C 3.3 level, and that is that sunspot region way out on the western limb, causing that activity. No major auroras in the forecast, folks, so therefore things are, well, they're going to be a little on the minimal side. Looks like we did have a filament eruption here on the northeastern quadrant Thursday morning. Coronal mass ejection is visible in the latest imagery, but so far appears to be headed away from the Earth. That's a beautiful picture. Not a huge one, but yeah, too bad that wasn't facing the Earth. We could definitely see some enhancements to the aurora forecast. For now, not a whole lot going on. All right, well, let's see what else we got. I know we have a lot of potential severe weather out here on this planet, an enhanced zone out here across portions of Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Got a 10% hatched area today for some strong tornadoes. That hatched area means 10% or greater probability of an EF2 to EF5 within about 25 miles of a point. The surrounding areas are located within the 5% and 2% zone, so if you guys are within this area, just be weather aware. Quite the population density out there within this zone today. That includes some fairly big wind events out there as well from the thunderstorm activity. Could be straight line winds, inflow or outflow activity here across this region. Hail threat limited back here across the northwestern edge of this area, and that includes the 10% zone, 10% or greater probability of 2-inch diameter hail or larger within 25 miles of a point. Goodness. That is today. We do have the potential for some more severe weather tomorrow across areas that just got through dealing with the severe weather. So just a heads up, huge 5% zone for tornado probability. We'll cover that a little bit later on this evening as we get a little bit better view of that. So today's activity going to have that storm system brewing up here later today into the regions of the mentioned areas around that severe weather area. That's going to scoot off overnight and move over across the eastern portion of the country tomorrow, bringing with it a lot of snow wrapping around, a lot of colder air coming back down around that storm system. In California, we do have a rainmaker coming up. It's coming out of the northwest. That's not really beneficial for the valley areas because of the rain shadow effect out here that the coast range and the northern mountains here create. Kind of like a little mini Death Valley out here, the Sacramento Valley, that is. But we will see some rain, not quite like what they're seeing at the coast here. You're going to get quite the whopping of precipitation. Higher elevation snow, going to get quite a bit as well. After that, well, things start to dry out across the west coast, and colder air really sets in here across the Texas area, bringing with it, the potential here. These are some decent cold temperatures, that's for sure. Looks like around the 15th to 16th time period, going to have some potentially negative numbers out here across Oklahoma. Some cold weather down in Texas as well. That is just the GFS model. The ECMWF model. Let's see what that's stating here. Looks about the same, maybe a tad bit warmer on that model. But either way, there's cold air coming down. Regardless if it's 9 degrees or 7 degrees, it's definitely going to be some colder temperatures out here. And of course, as you head north, much colder across that area of the lower 48 here. Goodness. All right, I'm out of here, folks. Live look at the seismograph stations here show a little spike of an earthquake around Japan. Also a little spiky earthquake activity around Chile. But aside from that, no big earthquakes being reported right now. We'll check back later, though, if there is any. And, of course, we'll do the nightly update here tonight. Enjoy your Thursday. Take care. It is, January 11th. Goodness. Have a good day, folks, and catch you guys back here a little bit later.